All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the second edition of Yanking Your Chain. I am Sanrael. That is, do you want me to call you Nerd of Gamers or
Yeah,
what?
just call me Nerdo Gamers.
Nerdo.
Not or Nerdo. You seem to keep calling me Nerdo, so Nerdo seems to be what I'm going to be called by you, isn't it?
That or your name.
I don't mind. It's Kieran is perfectly acceptable, but I just tend to go by Nerdo. Well, no. I've only started going by Nerdo because of you.
Well, that's true, but it seems to fit and it sticks and it's nice and we like it.
Yes.
So, do you want to give an introduction of what we're doing and what you've got going on in the background here?
Yep. So today we're going to be talking about 90's cartoons, the stuff that we remembered. We've generally seen a lot of the same things, but there's going to be some differences. You being in the US, me being in England. In the background, for those who are interested, we have Might and Magic 3 playing. It's just so people have got something to watch if they're actually just watching the stream or watching the video afterwards. But it's an interesting game. It's an old turn-based RPG. So definitely check it out and just see what you think of the gameplay. It's just there so we've got some pretty stuff in the background. Okay.
So, we have our list.
Yes. The internet is so great for helping very old memories because it was now
Aren't they, though?
20 years old, and it's just going, oh my god, some of these things I can barely remember.
Some of these things I can barely remember because I was 14. I think that's when I started getting out of the cartoon region.
Well,
there were some that I still watched.
You're only a couple of years younger than me. I was in 1990. I was 10, so it's just some of the bits that are coming up. I mean, oh god. I do dimly remember this, but there was the New Kids on the Block. Now, the New Kids on the Block was... oh, you know of them.
Yes, I do.
Yes. They actually had their own cartoon series, and I actually dimly remember it. And it's kind of scary if you think about it. Oh my god. I can't believe they actually got that.
Yeah, well...
But they were big at the time, so in a way it's not surprising.
This is true. They were still popular. Although I think they were starting to wane in popularity, but...
Yeah, just... There were some awful things that came out, but yeah, actually in the same year, Rugrats came out, which I absolutely loved. That was a great series. And
I'm remiss in saying that it's one that I never really got into, never really watched.
They kind of did two lots of it. They kind of did when they were younger, and then they did the Rugrats all grown up. But that wasn't as good, I don't think, because it was just basically it was like going through these kids and their imagination and all the different events, and they would interpret it their own way, and they'd have to try and work on things with just like misunderstandings. It was like every single week, but it was just really cool to see how they did that, and it was fairly good, strong storylines as well. There's an interesting set of characters. Angelica was probably one of my favourites, probably a lot of people's favourite characters out of it.
Right. Well, like you said, unfortunately it was one that I never really got into. I think by that time there were some cartoons that I watched, but I figured that one was probably a little bit beneath my interest. But I say that, and yet I watched Tiny Toon Adventures. But not as much as I watched other things, but I still watched it. So here I'm talking about Tiny Toon's Adventures, and I'm like, well, I never really watched Rugrats, but I didn't. It just wasn't that big for me. But I know that we had, of course, a lot of cartoons from different parts of the world. Japan, of course, always a mainstay. Of course, the U.S. Looking at the list, I love that they've got the flags there, and all I see are just a bunch of U.S. flags. So that's always pretty good.
One of my favourite for the 90's, well, actually two of my favourite shows were born out of the 90's. One of them was Aeon Flux. Now, we had that on a series called... They kind of held it about 6 o'clock, and it was on BBC Two, and they just called it Def 2. And they showed various different shows, and one of them they would show was Aeon Flux, and oh my god, I loved the animation and the story line on that. And one of the few bits I can actually really remember was Aeon Flux constantly dies, but get all the clones. And there was one where they did this giant fight scene, and it just goes from one character, they run down, get into this big fight, blow everybody up, and then they die, and the character who killed them, you see them fighting for a while, and you follow their storyline for a bit, and then they get killed by somebody, and then you swap to that character, and then you go back, and it was just this back and forth. And I've never really seen anywhere a fight scene anywhere quite like that. And the storyline was actually quite interesting because, of course, they actually allowed the main characters to effectively die off. So you could push the stories in directions that you couldn't normally do. And also it was sort of like the whole crapstick world. So, yeah, the world is there, it's all gone to hell. But it was still... It was life was cheap, kind of crapstick world, rather, because of course the cloning, it wasn't like everything wasn't falling apart and stuff like that. It was still fairly good nick, but it was just, life was just so cheap.
Just didn't have the value that it does.
No.
Yeah, it's always funny to see how people do like dystopian futures or post-apocalyptic and put values on things. You know, it's like one of the things that I loved about most post-apocalyptic shows is what becomes currency. What becomes water or food, things like that. You know, those are the things that become currency. Think about one of the great all-time, even though it's not a 90s cartoon, but think about one of the great all-time post-apocalyptic shows, Mad Max, and the Mad Max series, the Road Warrior series.
Oh, that basically spawned a lot of just post-apocalyptic stuff. I mean, there were post-apocalyptic movies before that, but that's one that really popularised it. I mean, you look at the dress people do, if they do anything to do with post-apocalyptic, and you normally can see the influence from Mad Max. It was just that big.
Yep, and that's where you see it. But I remember watching Aeon Flux on a MTV show called Liquid Television, and that's where I first saw it. Liquid Television is just it basically it's not even Sun Griffin says Adult Swim, but it's not even like Adult Swim. But yeah, I guess it was kind of the thing that spawned it, but it had all these different animations of different kinds. But I remember seeing Aeon Flux, and like you, I absolutely thought that was one of the best cartoons ever. And I was like, wow, I love the animation. I love the intro scene where the fly gets caught in the eyelashes and she opens her eye and looks at it and things. It's just crazy. Yeah,
it just always reminds me of like the Venus flytrap, just trapping it. Yes. And I think that's what the whole point of it was.
Yep, and that's a great one. A lot of cartoon. Now, the one thing I don't like about the list that I'm looking at is it's got it broken down by year, and my brain rambles off, not year by year, but cartoon by cartoon.
Yeah, I'm actually just flicking around this back and forth. But then, also talking about Def 2, I mean, one of the other shows they showed at that time was the Ren and Stimpy show.
Yes, seriously, I remember Ren and Stimpy well.
Just so awesome that it was definitely had a surreal bent to it, and it was just off the wall at times.
Well, it became, I mean, even more so than Aeon Flux, because Aeon Flux really didn't become a pop culture thing, but Ren and Stimpy became pop culture.
Yeah.
Along with what else came out at that time from Liquid Television, as a matter of fact, Beavis and Butthead.
I never really got into Beavis. I tried watching Beavis and Butthead, but I do think that might have been just a little bit too American. There was people around me who did like Beavis and Butthead. Maybe I was just slightly too young. Maybe it was just too American for me. It's just, I just could not get into it. I still can't.
It is very, yeah, I can understand that. It is very much, oh man, I guess for lack of a better way of saying it, the lowbrow American humor. I don't know if that's really the right words. Actually,
so you got to say, while we're talking about this, I think The Simpsons, I'll just have a quick, it was only like the next year, 92, that The Simpsons comes out. As a case of, Yeah, dude, the first few seasons of The Simpsons was great, but it's just amazing actually just list of how many really good shows. But then I think this is the tail end of the 80s, just the start of the 90s, where we're getting some really good stuff up.
Yeah. And animated television became not just for kids and watching cartoons in the morning time, but actually became on a prime time, or, pre-prime time here in the U.S. anyways. I mean, The Simpsons became primetime television, and it again got started off on another show with the Tracy Ullman show.
Oh, sorry, not Tracy Emin. That's the artist I can't stand. No, yes, the Tracy Ullman show.
Yes,
I know who I'm talking about.
Go home. Which I really didn't care for the Tracy Ullman show, but I did like to see the Simpsons. So that was pretty, that's the one thing that I liked. And so when they made it, your party's about to die, by the way, just to break away for a moment.
Oh yeah, no, that's why I quickly used one of the help functions, because I was literally about to die. I do avoid managing to lose my entire party, but I do get myself leveled back to 1 a couple of times, because it was that.
I just looked over and was like, that does not look good.
No, it wasn't. Thankfully, death is fairly cheap, and you can just pay money to get yourself fixed. Yeah, but no, Simpsons, I mean, I personally reckon up to about season 6, even season 7, The Simpsons was actually quite good. But then it just becomes flogging the dead horse. Seriously. Yeah. It just won't die. I mean, I think I still watch it because there is nothing better on. But I swear to God, the moment anything even vaguely interesting comes up, I watch it instead. But it's just, I think that's probably why it still keeps going, because I'm probably like a good chunk of people who watch it. Yeah, we watch it because there's nothing else on, and we've watched so many years of it, we just might as well carry on watching. But the moment something better's on, we'll watch it.
For me, I never really watched it. I mean, I watched episodes here and there, but I just...
The first 6 seasons is like really good. I think actually if you drop like season 1 and go from about season 2 to about season 6, it's really funny, really witty. It's got a lot of good characterization, and you see a lot of depth and subtle humour and little digs, and it's just really quite interesting. If you started watching it or watched more after that, yeah, you kind of lost some of the best period out of the entire The Simpsons. So
I just, I'm even now, I just have no interest. I mean, my brain just went completely blank right there. I've never really been interested in The Simpsons. It's just one of those things. It's kind of like, for me, South Park, another one that came out in the 90s. Granted, albeit the late 90s.
I love South Park. It's one of my favorites.
Which... Again, I watched the first 3 seasons of it, and then I was just kind of done. I didn't really care about it anymore.
It can get a little samey, but I find the past season. Well, actually, I've kind of missed some of the latest ones, but I mean, it does have some really good moments even now. I mean, one of the latest seasons they had Coon and Friends, which is a 3-part episode where Cartman ends up becoming best friends with Cthulhu. They become best buddies. In this case,
that's funny.
Yeah. Who else but Cartman would get Cthulhu on their back and in rubbing his belly going, oh, who's a nice Cthulhu? Who's a lovely Cthulhu? And Cthulhu effectively like purring and letting him do it.
Why is it that we as geeks and nerds have such an enamored thing with Cthulhu?
Oh, have you seen the Cthulhu plushies which you can get?
Yes,
they're
so cute. The Chibi Cthulhu and everything.
Yeah. Oh, well, I've seen some really good things. Like the little animal hats which you can get, which people have been going around wearing. They've got one which is a Cthulhu head, and you get little tentacles over the forehead. And they saw one which you can put on a little baby. See, seriously, if I have a kid, I've got to get the Cthulhu hat and just put it on their head, and so you've got their head being eaten by Cthulhu. That, or nice. One of the brain crabs from Half-Life. That would also be a great hat for a kid, I think.
Yeah, I've seen the brain crab hat. Those are fun.
Yeah.
Head crab. as I was corrected.
Head crab, brain crabs, whatever. I've barely played Half-Life 2 or
I played
Half-Life.
Half-Life 2. I didn't play Half-Life much.
I've kind of played them a little bit, but not that much. I mean, enough so I kind of know it. But again, it's kind of one of those things. I never really get round to finishing a lot of games. I've completed XCOM like twice in
Both.
yeah, in like about 15 years. It's terrible. Haven't even completed the second one, Terror from the Deep.
I don't think I finished the second one. I know I beat the first one a couple times, and I love the first one. I'm excited when they're coming out with this new rendition of it. Hopefully it's good.
For Axis, I'm going to be buying that on day one. And I'm going to play the hell out of it. I'm going to be recording it. I'm probably going to end up live streaming it. I'm just going to go nuts on that game because I am waiting for it.
All right. I'll keep my eye open for you then, and hopefully.
But the thing is, I might be able to devote quite a bit of time because my job situation might be changing by then.
Yeah, something that you and I have been talking about offline.
Yes.
So, back to cartoons. Of course, one of the more popular things is the... is it Artem? Is that the name of the company, the studio? Aardman? Yes, Wallace and Gromit.
Ah, yes.
Aardman
Wallace and
Studios.
Gromit, yes.
Which I still love.
Yeah. No, the original Wallace and Gromit. Oh, my word, yes. The stop frame animation.
Yes. You were talking about Rugrats, but I mean, we were talking about it last week. And for those of you who might have missed it, please catch the last video. It's really good. We talk about 80s cartoons, some that we are well known, some that aren't so well known. We do get off tangent about video games, but then again, the fact that we stayed on topic most of the conversation is actually the more amazing thing.
Yeah. I expect us to go off topic a bit, but...
A bit with us is, that's saying a lot.
Could be like a circle. Eventually we get back to where we started.
I think that for me, there were some cartoons in the 90s that stood out and will always be classics. But a lot of the cartoons from the 90s, because again, I think it was an age thing for me. Because like I said, I was getting into my teenage years and I wasn't into cartoons as much. Granted, I still watch some of them because, one, I have a younger brother and we would watch cartoons before we had to go off to school or something. But I'm looking through a lot of these and I see a lot of rehashes and a lot of things where they tried to make something stick to something that was popular, but it just never really hooked up. Like, for instance, do you remember, you may or may not remember, there was a hip-hop band in the 90s and late 80s, early 90s called Kid and Play. And Kid had this really tall eraser head hairdo. I mean, he had the fade that was like 5 stories tall. Well,
no, I don't remember.
They were a very popular hip-hop group. They were actually decent guys. They had some good stuff going on. They had a couple of movies out there, but a cartoon about a hip-hop group, I think, was not the best choice.
This is why one of the first things I brought up was, New Kids on the Block. It just doesn't really work. I mean, you say that, you also got the Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Which wasn't too bad, I guess.
No, but there was a lot better stuff out of it. I mean, when you compare it to something like The Real Ghostbusters, which is, again, another animation based off a movie, some just work really, really well, and others just, you wonder, why did you bother?
Well, I mean, yeah. Again, like you said, why do you even bother? I mean, why not come up with ideas that would be
new?
You know,
new?
Well, not
original?
even new. Not even original and new, but even a rehash of something that was done in the past, but maybe update the story. Yes, effort is the key thing there. Sun Griffin says effort. I agree with it. So, with that in mind, because I say not something new, because we had cartoons like Tailspin. I don't know if you ever saw this or not.
Tailspin, I do vaguely remember, but it's like only dimly. Yes,
and Tailspin was fantastic. Here was this world where you had blue. You had the characters, some of the characters from. Uh, oh my gosh, my
You're
brain
not talking
just-
about the Jungle Book, are you?
Yes, Jungle Book. Thank you.
Yes.
You had characters from the Jungle Book where you had a Shere
Okay,
Khan
like
type
Baloo,
character.
Shere
You had
Khan, yeah.
right.
Mowgli.
The only thing was
no, Mowgli's something else, isn't it?
well, there were no humans though. The whole world was anthropomorphized. I can't say the anthropomorphic. So they were all people, but you had this idea that the world is not 70% water, but even more so than that, and it was like a 1950s kind of 1940s and 50s feel with the way that they dressed. And he flew around a cargo plane, and that was what he did for a living. And the lady who ran the cargo business, her son would always go out with him on trips, and he had this really neat thing where he could open up this, I don't know, it's a skateboard, but it wasn't a skateboard, it was like a wing, and it would open up, and he would grab a hold of this line out from behind the airplane and like skate or surf the clouds. If you can never find them, it's a really great. I mean, it's a fantastic series. I absolutely loved it.
Again, like I was saying, it's so familiar to me. Actually, I just can't quite remember the details. Oh, I will have to go check it out because I'm sure. Oh, it's actually another one series that I really quite watching. The Pink Panther show.
What was that?
The Pink Panther.
Oh yeah, I love Pink.
You had the Pink Panther. It was broken up. There was a couple of different potential characters because you had Clouseau, Pink Panther, and was there another one or main character within it? I can't remember.
The Aardvark.
Yeah.
The Ant and the Aardvark, which I loved the series because what Sun Griffin pointed out, it was so well written that you knew exactly what was going on without a single word being spoken, and you understood the humor and got the jokes.
So it also had a kind of a jazz theme to it as well, I think.
Absolutely.
It was quite heavily jazz. It's just you don't actually see many cartoons with like a jazz feel to them.
Yeah.
But it was quite interesting. I just found that it was a good show. It was well written. It was quite intriguing to watch, and was just so little dialogue most of the time. Just watching it, and it's like going back to the old silent movies. You actually really had to tell a story with what you could see rather than anything else.
Yeah, there's another fantastic show that actually got made into a game that I never got to play, but I have to check it out. It's called The Pirates of Dark Water.
There were times I've seen Pirates of Dark Water being played because Shay was playing that, and I watched her live streaming it. But the cartoon, I went between really, really loving it and thinking, what? I don't know. And it literally, my emotions were swinging from one to the other on it. So I never really have settled down. Did I actually like the Pirates of Darkwater or didn't I? I
guess you'd have to look at it. I guess you'd have to look at it as a whole. Did you enjoy the show as a whole? But again,
I can't really remember because it's like 20 years ago.
It's funny how we remember the 80s cartoons, which were 30 years ago.
Yeah,
and we struggle to remember the 90s.
I mean, I did watch a fair bit of Sesame Street during the 90s. So, I mean, I used to come home from lunch from high school and just sit and watch Sesame Street. And you always had the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I remember that little sequence so well. Mm-hmm.
Of course.
And then it really upset me because years later they got rid of that particular video being played for like 10, 15 years, and they just, oh no, we're going to replace it with something else. I mean, what? You can't update these were classic videos that you had within Sesame Street to teach kids. Oh dear.
That's it. Again, Sesame Street, which is still played here every day, and it's fantastic. But even more so than the Sesame Street, which, again, this is getting way off topic, but hey, what's new with us, right? was the Electric Company, which was for slightly older kids. But he did the same thing, but with more adolescent kind of humor and understanding with it.
Does not sound familiar to me. Oh,
Again, yeah, it came from the same guys that created Sesame Street, but it didn't last as long. It went off the air, but they're trying to bring it back now, so it's kind of cool. But if you ever get a chance to check out one of the older ones, I mean, the original team members were Bill Cosby and Morgan Freeman.
Blimey.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and start running down some of these things that we remember here. Now, of course, again, they were still on the whole video game thing because it was still popular. But now we introduce the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, God, yeah. Again, now I remember that, and it was a case of, do I like it? Don't I like it? I think I found Sonic annoying, but I liked all the other characters.
Yeah, I found the whole show to be kind of insipid. I never really watched much of it.
I watched some of it, but I think Sonic, the lead character, was the one I didn't like. I've seen some really good parodies of it on YouTube. Oh my god, so, some of the YouTube parodies where he's basically, they point out that he's an entire junkie, blah blah blah. Oh, they're brilliant series. These are like an hour's worth of basically short 5-minute clips of Sonic trying to make it basically to his next score. Yeah, it's awesome.
Horrible.
It's awesome. It's hilarious. It's got to be
He's just tapping a vein trying to make it.
Well, yeah, but then that kind of reminds me of Teen Hunger Aqua Team Hunger Force. How have you pronounce
Oh my god, yeah.
Brilliant series. I mean, seriously, what were these guys on when they did it? Because
I don't know, but
can you get me some? Because I'd like to know how you got there.
Right, what a way to go.
Meatball.
Let's talk about some of the other ones that we know that were really well done.
And
of course,
not
there was
so well
Darkwing Duck.
You see, I've never watched that. I mean, I keep hearing it over and over again, and I know it's something I really should try and watch, but it's just something I've not ever seen.
It's entertaining. It's a lot of fun. It's of course, a parody, a spoof of Batman. He is the I am the danger that flaps in the night, or something like that. Darkwing Duck.
Yeah, I was going to say, now all I can think of is Batfink. Yeah, I shall shield myself with my wings of steel. Sorry, that's going back to like 70s now.
That's alright, I kind of remember what you're talking about there.
Yeah. Oh,
then we had, of course, Batman the Animated Series.
Yes.
One of the definitive all-time great animated shows. They had airbrushing in it as well as the animation. And it was just fantastic. Just a great show. No,
it was a very good, well done show, that. And there's others which kind of go through, and yeah, so some are good, some are not. I mean, you've actually got a very popular one that came out around this period, which, I mean, I've only watched some of it, but a lot of people actually like Sailor Moon. I mean, that one went for ages.
Yeah.
And that was like 200 episodes. As a long-lived series, and that was incredibly popular. I mean, you still get people discovering the series today and watching through it. Its legacy still carries on even to this day. So, I mean, no matter what you say, that has been and probably always will be a fairly popular series.
It is, absolutely. I mean, when you've got people... Okay, I'm going to admit that I know of this, even though my eyeballs, I want to watch them. But when you've got people who are so dedicated that you have grown men dressing up in Sailor Moon costumes to cosplay.
I have seen those images.
And what has been seen?
it's when you've got the hairy chest and the beards. That's kind of... Yeah. Yeah. Good for you. Good for you.
Well, this is also a time that Disney had, of course, a lot of its very popular movies that became animated series. Little Mermaid. But more importantly, one that I remember was the Aladdin series. There was actually a television series based off of the Aladdin movie.
Yeah, yeah. Did actually Robin Williams? Did he actually do the voice, or did he just get somebody who sounded very similar? Because I dimly remember.
I don't know. I'm gonna look it up now because I do not know.
You just kind of have to remember, and you kind of got to know. Oh my God! I was just looking at Ace Ventura: Pet Detective got a movie.
Yeah.
I've just been told Robin Williams wasn't in the cartoon.
Okay.
So we have somebody out there. No, we've got somebody who's confirmed it for us. Thank you.
Dan Castellaneta.
Dan Castellaneta. Okay. So
yep.
there we go. Oh my God! Earthworm Jim. I remember the computer game of that.
That was a great game, wasn't it?
Oh God, yes. I mean, a spacesuit comes from the sky, crashes on the ground, and an ordinary worm climbs into it and becomes this saviour. That was, it was a damn good series. I mean, of course, around that period, you've also got. I mean, I remember that was quite big on the point-and-click adventure games as well. You had some really good ones coming out. I think like Gabriel Knight.
Yeah.
Some of the Sam Max I think were coming out then. I think that would also been the period where you had Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. You had some really damn good adventure games coming out there, and I don't know why Earthworm Jim reminds me of adventure games, but he does remind me of adventure games.
I think because of the relation to the campiness of the old point-and-click games like the Hero Quest and the Space Quest games. Which, by the way, I think I already know what our next topic's going to be. The point-and-click adventure game.
Okay, there's quite a few out there which were really quite good.
Well, I mean, whenever Sierra based its whole company on those, I mean, do you remember that was the #1 name in adventure games, point-and-click adventure games?
But they also
they
also focused a lot on the where you have all the humorous deaths. You literally do one slight thing. Okay, let's stop discussing this because we're going to totally ruin our next topic, aren't we?
Son Griffin just said the same thing. All right, we're talking about it. All right, so let's go back to talking about. Okay, so we talked about The Simpsons and how it was primetime cartoon. It was one of the primetime cartoons. At the same time, they started taking old classic cartoons and making them into almost a television show, and it started with Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
Space Ghost Coast to Coast. That's not they haven't taken that on Adult Swim with Space Ghost, have they?
Yes, it was Adult Swim.
See, I don't know Space Ghost at all, but when I kept watching all the Adult Swim stuff, and it's a case I see this, I go, I know it's got to be based off something, but I don't know the reference here. So
Go ahead.
No, carry on. I said what I was going to say.
Well, Space Ghost was an old Hanna-Barbera cartoon trying to cash in on the whole heroes, and things like that that they came out with. And it had a lot of popularity along with Birdman, which I know you know Birdman, Attorney at Law. Again, another great cartoon from...
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of that, but not something I don't think really got played over here that much.
Well... They basically took Space Ghost, this cartoon, they saved a lot of the stock animation and then cut it out and put it into this setting to where he was a television show host. And it was absolutely hilarious. It was just ridiculous because they did this great job of they would talk to a star and do interview and ask questions and then take snippets of the star's answer and then paste that with the animation of Space Ghost asking a question. So Space Ghost would ask this inane, just kind of crazy off the wall question. And then whatever the snippet of the star's answer was that they had plugged in for that spot was what they would have there. And it just worked so blessedly, wonderfully well. It was just fantastic. Cracked me up. It was probably one of the longest watched shows for me.
I mean, actually, one of my favourite shows that came out in the 90's, Dexter's Laboratory.
Ah, yes.
Didi,
That
you idiot.
Hey, Didi, you idiot. Samurai Jack and the Powerpuff Girls too.
Oh, Powerpuff Girls, Samurai Jack. Oh my, Samurai Jack. That was awesome. Awesome.
Yep.
Jeez, yeah, I remember that. And it was a case of, oh my god, I don't think they ever actually managed to finish that. It got cancelled part way through, and it was a case of, I don't know why the hell they did that. It was, why could they not let that story finish? That is kind of one that really needed to be finished, because that actually, you could see that it had a very clear start, and you kind of got to the bit where got to the middle, and you started meeting other characters, and you could actually see the progress he was making in the world. It wasn't like we're just going to go float from one episode to the next. There was genuine progress. You had genuine recurring characters, like the Scottish guy that he meets.
Yes.
They end up becoming very good friends, and they actually do great things and help Stride. And the bad guy actually starts diminishing and weakening. So you could see Jack was really making a difference in it. And it's just, why did they not let that finish? Oh, that was
again. I'm with you. I'm like, what is this madness? Why did we not finish that? But I think Samurai Jack came out in the 2000s, but
oh,
still,
who cares? It's a great show.
It's
we
still
can talk
fantastic.
about it. Doesn't matter. That's just merely timing issues. We've got to talk about great shows.
But wasn't that all? It was all the same guy, if I'm not mistaken. It was Gundy.
Gundy. Yeah, it was along those lines.
Gendy Tartakovsky.
Yeah. And
that's who that was.
Really good stuff. Oh, Cow and Chicken. Oh, no, there's a really good section. 97's apparently a really good year. Because you got Cow and Chicken, I Am Weasel.
Loved Cow and Chicken and I Am Weasel.
Yeah.
The Angry Beavers.
There's some really quite good stuff. I mean, I haven't even gone over all the Japanese stuff, really.
I'm trying to stay away from them because I didn't have a lot of exposure to them.
Oh, actually,
at that point in time.
We do have to mention one series, because that comes out in 97. And that's Pokemon.
Yes.
You cannot escape the fact that during the 90s, Pokemon came out.
Yeah, and it aired.
Saying here, 738 episodes.
Plus.
Plus. I mean, Jesus. That's worse than The Simpsons, I think, in a way.
Yeah.
But then there's a lot of different spin-offs for Pokemon. Actually, I still like one of my best descriptions I've ever heard of Pokemon. It's Ash is actually in a dream. That's why he never gets older, and why he's allowed to go out into the wild all by himself when obviously going into terrain with all these dangerous creatures that can obviously kill him. Why else would is he like 10 years old or something? And allowed to just go off and go around the world, and yet he still never ages. One of his best friends is a completely immature guy who the person who's writing this describes his frustrated sexuality. Any woman he ever gets close to, he has no idea what he's doing, so they suddenly get shipped off on a bus and never get seen ever again. It was a brilliant little insight, I think, into it. How could we tell the story in a different way, other meanings?
So I mentioned that for me, the cartoons of the 90s represented a turn and kind of I wouldn't say the downfall, but the movement away from the epicness that we had in the 80s. And I thought long and hard about it, and I realized why. Because it was in the 90s that we saw Cartoon Network and the Disney Channel. That's when those were introduced, and so no longer would someone need to produce a cartoon and then try to sell it to
mainstream TV.
Right, ABC, CBS, NBC over here, or any of the BBCs over there, which there's 32 BBC channels?
At the time, there was only 2. We've only recently, we've now got BBC 3, 4, 5, whatever.
And then there's BBC Wales and
yeah. I was quite happy when we just had the 2 channels and a BBC World or Service. That was fine for me.
But I think that's what it was. Is it's not that the cartoons have gotten worse or better than what they are. It's just
I don't
that
know.
there's
There was a lot more cartoons produced, but the thing is, I remember going through the 80s stuff and we were literally tripping over, oh yes, there was this, and there was this, and there was this. I'm actually having to sit here for the first time and actually look and do a bit of research and go, oh, that was then, and oh god, yeah, and there's just a lot less to just trip off my tongue here.
And that's, again, I think because of, one, our age at the time. Had we had somebody in here who was a kid watching these cartoons during that time period, it would be a lot different. But I think that's honestly the biggest thing, is that we were getting older. Our interests were changing, you
Actually,
know?
I was still watching a lot of cartoons at that age. I mean, to be honest, I still, up until about 25, I was still watching a lot of cartoons. And it's only then, because I was only after about 25, I just started getting a bit bored of just TV in general.
Right.
But no,
And that-
when I was in my 20s, I actually got hold of a TV package which specifically included like the Cartoon Network, just so I had access to my cartoons. So I've actually kept up with cartoons up until like the past 5-8 years, when I just got less interested in TV in general.
And I know that I still watch cartoons well into my now.
Well into your now. That's
well
a
into my
polite way of
current
putting it.
age. I would like to say that I have an excuse, and that's because I have a 4-year-old, but honestly,
Don't
I
lie,
like
don't lie,
cartoons.
yeah.
I just
Actually,
like cartoons.
it's a good Japanese one, which is the late 80s, which I want to just mention.
What's that?
Cowboy Bebop.
Oh,
Yeah.
pardon my language. Fuck yes, Cowboy Bebop.
Yes. It
Cowboy
is
Bebop is the best cartoon ever.
and it was really good because you had a good solid start, good solid, and it didn't overstay its welcome. It's a great series, and it's...
But I've got to ask, at the end of Cowboy Bebop, did your heart sink a little bit because you realized there wouldn't be any more Cowboy Bebop?
Yes and no. The thing is, it's sad that I didn't get any more, but I'd rather it stop when it's good, rather than just being carrying on beyond it. I mean, Edward was actually one of my favourite characters in that.
Yes.
The computer eccentric girl, and she was nuts, like all over the place. But oh my god, that's the kind of women I like. So it's just a case, I couldn't help but share some affinity towards Edward. It was a case of, yeah, you're a little bit crazy, but that makes you fun and nice. So it's just...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a lot of great cartoons in the 90s. I mean, Gargoyles, for instance, great
I
cartoon.
never really watched that.
Now,
So,
again,
I
a
don't-
Disney production. This is before Disney had its own station, so we had the chance to watch these Disney shows in a Disney. It was like the Disney Hour, but they were absolutely fantastic. Gargoyles was great. Again, great story, great character development, always interesting, and I mean, it was just, phenomenal. It was just a great cartoon. One that we haven't touched on, and I know we need to cover this one, Animaniacs.
Yeah, I meant to discuss that one, but we kind of skipped past that, and that was further up the list. But no, I love the animator.
I loved Animaniacs. I love the spin-off. They had Pinky and the Brain, because let's face it, we all loved Pinky and the Brain.
Pinky and the brain. So what are we going to do tonight, Pinky? Same thing. No, Brain. Same thing we do every night. Try to take over the world.
Pinky, are you thinking what I'm thinking? Yes, Brain, but me and Pippi Longstocking, imagine what the kids would look like.
I know. It's just those little bits which you knew exactly what was going to happen, but I was just sat there just waiting for them to say the lines. As
Exactly.
Pinky in the Brain. You go Pinky in the Brain, Ren and Stimpy. I mean, to me, those kind of get grouped together with just awesomeness. They've got this nice little awesomeness.
Yep.
And you got like Samurai Jack, which I think we were saying isn't actually 2000. Dexter's Laboratory. I mean, these to me are for me really the great ones of the 90s. And then of course, yeah, Cowboy
agree
Bebop
completely.
and stuff
Yes.
like that.
Which I was sad that I got on the scene well after Cowboy Bebop was over because I
Same
didn't get
here.
introduced
I mean,
to
it was like, for me, the thing is, Cowboy Bebop, I was on the scene after it finished. It was kind of like me discovering Firefly for the first time. Yeah,
same here.
I can't remember if I mentioned this last time, but yeah, you discover Firefly. Wow, this is just watch the entire of the first season. This is the best thing I've ever seen. Wow, race up, go check on the internet. And I just swore out loud. My ex, who was downstairs at the time, just heard me swearing because the fuckers had cancelled it. It was just, no. It's how could they cancel Firefly? I mean, just seriously, no. That's just not acceptable. I swore.
It's because
at that.
Fox is evil, and that is all there is to that.
Yeah, we'll keep The Simpsons going. Yeah, but
yeah,
we won't
because
have
it's
one of these great original shows which actually has thought and style and really actually makes you care about it. No, we'll keep The Simpsons, which had died a long time ago because that makes money.
Now
I know they're going to make money, but
I will mention this because we talked about Simpsons, which is Matt Groening. Futurama.
Oh, Futurama. I love Futurama. I personally think it's much better.
I agree with you completely, wholeheartedly. I can't watch Simpsons, but I will watch the hell out of some Futurama.
The thing is, the Fry and Leela, I know they keep resetting it, but at the end when they actually cancelled it, where Fry's doing the whole hologram stuff, he got hold of the devil's hands and stuff, I think I actually cried the first time I saw that one, because that was just such a beautiful scene, and that really did break my heart seeing that, because it was, after he got through it, he'd all prepared it, he loses the hands, but he comes up with that very simple thing which he had worked so hard to express himself, and that was beautiful. I mean, even though it sounded like crap, it was just the feeling that he put into it. He tried so hard. That was heartbreaking, which kind of pisses me off a little with the later ones, that they don't actually they kind of got an on-off relationship.
Yeah, but if you look at, okay, so there were a list of movies. There was a bunch of movies in between there.
Yes, there's something like about 4 movies which they make, which I think they kind of get them closer together, and then they're not, and they're closer together, and then they're not, and it's just, I've just also seen another one we absolutely have to mention while we've got time.
Of course.
It gets released right towards the end of 1999.
Mm-hmm.
And it involves a particular sea creature who lives under the sea. SpongeBob SquarePants.
Oh my god.
Yes. Have you ever seen the episodes? I think it was like Fishmouth or something, where it's just he discovers the swear words.
Yes.
Yeah. That is.
It makes the dolphin noise.
Yeah. Just everyone replies. And the thing is, they go through, and then when Mr. Krabs' mother starts singing, they chuck out new sounds. She's chucking out even more than the 7 big naughty words. That is one. That has got to be one of the best SpongeBob episodes ever.
Yeah.
With SpongeBob, of course, you've also got. I think one of my favourite characters out of that was Plankton.
Yes.
Actually, Plankton, I really loved seeing Plankton stories, and it's a shame they don't do Plankton more often, because Plankton's just, it was awesome. Why does he not get more screen time? I know
because he's a bad guy.
Yeah, but he's such an ineffectual bad guy. I mean, Mr. Crab takes over the same place as Plankton and succeeds numerous times in stealing his own recipe just to prove the point to Plankton. See how hard it's not difficult at all. Plankton is just that useless. He overthinks everything, over-engineers everything, and it's a couple of times when he's trying to steal a Krabby Patty, he's just realised, just walk in and just buy a Krabby Patty. Nobody stops him, and then he still manages to screw it up, which is also the other great thing. And his computer that's obviously in love with him.
The great thing about the 90s, I would have to say, are the amount of superhero shows that we had.
Yeah, you do get a lot of them. Actually, did you get the original X-Men out of that?
That's what I was about to get to, because we had Batman the Animated Series, then we had the new Batman Adventures, which was Batman, Nightwing, and Robin.
Yeah.
And then we had Superman, the Superman Adventures.
Yeah,
we had
X-Men.
Batman Beyond and X-Men.
Batman Beyond, that's the one where Batman plays like the older mentor with the kid, and it's set in the future. So I kind of liked that. I mean, it was kind of a show that kind of, I think, grew on me because it actually had some good characterizations, and what happened the previous week really did have an effect on later episodes, and you really did see this kid grow into Batman. And you kind of, if you watch the start of the series, he's green. He really does not. And Bruce has to basically get his ass out of trouble so many times. But towards the end of it, he's turning around and just ignoring Bruce because he realised, well, actually, Bruce is a little bit beyond the hill. He doesn't quite understand everything that's going on now, even though he's still crazy prepared. But you can start to see him strike out on his own and have a little bit of independence, and that's quite interesting. Any show where you actually see that, and it's nice that that was a show that actually did that.
Well, yeah, and I agree with you. I think they did a fantastic job with that one, just because of the way that they wrote it, and you actually see the development of the character through the different series, or through the different episodes.
But you look at so many cartoons and how many actually fail to have character development.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends on the type of show, too. I mean, we don't really expect character development from SpongeBob.
No. I see that more of a skit show. Here's your basically setup of characters. Now let's go chuck them in an odd situation. But however, I expect them to know when they stop being funny, like The Simpsons, and know when to call it a day.
Right. I know that we also had, at that time, we had Iron Man and a Fantastic Four, as well as the Spider-Man, which actually had a long run with it.
Funny enough, you see that, we get the entire section of cartoons that were going on then, all the superheroes. Now, 20 years later, what are we doing now in the movies?
We're doing the same cartoons.
Yeah. We're just taking all these cartoons, the superhero cartoons, and we're making movies out of them. We've got the Avengers, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Superman. We've got Batman. We've got, Thor, who actually I don't think really had his own TV series. It might be mistaken.
I don't think so.
But he actually got one, got a movie, and so we're starting to see. I mean, Hulk is one we actually had a lot of TV series for, but I don't think we're getting the cartoons for.
Well, we also started seeing a rise of some of the not so mainstream comics that were coming out, and started seeing those animated. The Max. Sam and Max, as a matter of fact, and The Tick.
Oh God, yes. That is a classic, absolute classic. Because who else do you get to turn around and their catchphrase is spoon?
Yes, I remember the very first episode. He's sitting in a diner, and the guy goes, "Who are you?" "I'm the Tick." "Well, what are your superpowers?" "I'm really strong and I can jump really far." "Yeah, but you don't suck blood. You're a tick suck blood." "Oh, I've got a straw right here. I want to see some sucking of blood. You want to see me suck some blood?" It was just him over the top. I loved it. And then, of course, Arthur. Old chum.
But have you noticed the way he's got this massive body and his head just kind of points up? Basically no brain there. Oh, actually, talking about no brains, one of my all-time favourites, seriously, all-time favourite animations that ever came out is a series called, it's only 2 episodes were only ever made, but it's called Dragon Half. And it is
Dragon Half?
Dragon Half.
Huh.
It's an anime, and there's only 2 episodes. But it's hilarious. Seriously, I'll have to
see if I can find that.
Yeah, and it's the character is absolutely hilarious. You've got this running character who you keep coming up against. He's just this total and utter idiot. He's basically got this like lightsaber for a sword, and he ends up somehow he managed to fly up in the air and it goes through his head. You think he's died because he's just taken a weapon to his head. No, he returns later because he survived because, wait for it, he's got a compact brain. So the sword managed to miss his brain. This is the selling point he's trying to explain of why he's so good, because he has a compact brain.
You know, it works for me.
Yes.
I can understand this.
Yeah, Mink, that's the main character.
All right,
it's just a great, weird little series, and it's got some of the surrealist elements, which seriously is like, how the hell do they segue? You've got slimes as being princes and queens, and yeah, she's dragon half by somebody who's slime half. So somebody had a relationship with a slime and they produced a little slime baby. Magic was involved, mind you, but still.
On the, this is crazy.
Yes.
See, that's what I'm talking about. It's just crazy shit. But I will go back to the cartoons that were not mainstream, but got their own shows. That was at the same time that Savage Dragon made its appearance, and if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to double check this, Spawn. Spawn came to HBO as an animated series.
Spawn's a really damn good comic. The cartoon was okay, but Spawn itself. Oh, actually, no. We're gonna. How much do you actually read comics? Because we're probably gonna have to do a whole comic section at some point.
It's been years since I've read them, but
yeah, but we can just talk about the stuff that we watched and we read. So screw the modern stuff. I kind of read through 80s, 90s, and then kind of stopped reading.
It's kind of where I was at with it.
But I still sit down and read Wikipedias and stuff like that, so I kind of know still the history of comics, but we've got to do comics at some point, obviously.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I'm much more of a fan of the Silver Age and the Golden Age of comics, just because that was when they were just serials.
Kind of like the Dark Age, when you get Batman Legends of the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Seriously, and also you also get like Alien vs Predator, not the crappy movies. This is seriously well written. Also, some of the Alien comics, my God, the strength of the storylines and just some of the Predator ones as well. It's not like the Predator ones aren't like the two Predator movies. These are characters. Actually, weirdly, in the Predator comics, it's normally the lead is a female. They rarely actually have a male. But I think that's just kind of something maybe strange to the Predator comic series. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Funnily enough,
that's all right. That happens with us, right? It's part of that's part of our charm.
Wait, we have charm? Why did nobody tell me?
I got a discount, so.
Did you buy me some?
Of course.
Good,
well, there was only one
it
package left. I bought it for $1 and then shared it. So.
Okay, I'll take the dollar charm.
Okay.
I've got a whole dollar's worth of charm.
It's $1 charm. I bought it off of a Tibetan guy dressed in monks. It smells a bit like dung, so be careful.
Okay, so long as it doesn't smell of pee, we're fine.
No, it doesn't smell of wee.
Pee, wee.
Same thing.
Yes.
We are insane.
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are. Oh my God, I had something else here.
Sorry, did I break your tiny little mind?
Brain hurt.
You sound like the Hulk. Hulk smash.
Hulk smash.
Oh God! Did you actually see the movie The Avengers with the Hulk in it?
Of course, I saw the Avengers.
Oh my God! The Hulk, I swear to God, steals that movie. He has the two best scenes in the entire movie. One where
the scene where he lands with Thor.
Yep. Because that is classic from the cartoons. That is classic Hulk Thor. Because Thor is one of the few people that Hulk can actually fight, and the whole Loki speech, and then Hulk's reaction to it. Oh my God!
And then of course, there's Hulk and Loki.
Yes. Oh my God, that is just brilliant. That was two best scenes in the entire movie, just right there. I mean, there's other great scenes, but that was just the two best.
Just the way that he kind of stops for a second and then swings him a few more times.
Yes, just right at the very end, it's just a.
Yeah, the little at the very end there.
Oh my god, it was just. I want to watch that movie again now.
Oh my gosh. I just came across one, and I don't know if you've ever seen this. If you haven't, you need to watch it. Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Oh, yes, I know of that one. I'm just trying to. Yes, I have seen it. I love that show.
Absolutely great.
Yeah.
Man, and now that I'm looking through the list, it's a little bit different. But again, I still say that for prime time or for mainstream television, it was the end of an era because
we created Bob the Builder.
Yeah, you did create Bob the Builder.
I kind of sense that, yes, that's more like we should kill you for that rather than, oh my god.
No, because it's good educate. I mean, it's better and it's not as insipid as some of the other ones that I've seen. So I mean, there's that. At the time, there was back on the mainstream thing. Fox picked up another show to match the Simpsons in its animated category, and that would be Family Guy.
So
1999.
I went from liking Family Guy, then I watched the South Park episode, and it was the South Park episode where they talk all about Family Guy and how it was manatees writing everything. And after that, I seriously could not watch Family Guy for the next year or two because I watched Family Guy, and from that point on, I thought it was absolutely crap. I just could not, because every point they brought up, yes, you're right, it's true, and it was the bits that kind of pissed me off about Family Guy, but I overlooked because of the other bits that I did enjoy. And it was the taking a joke too far, so it stops being funny, then it becomes funny. But then they just take it too far again, and just so it's completely unfunny, and it stays unfunny, and then they bring it back the next week, and the week after, and the week after that, and you know, guys, I know exactly how long you're going to carry this on for, and it stops being funny. So why do you keep doing it? It's not going to get any funnier for me.
Well, I mean, you can say the same thing about Family Guy. I mean, come on. About South Park. I mean, come on, how many times can we watch Kenny die, really?
Yeah, but they did actually stop that.
Okay.
It was around about season 3 that I think it was about season 4 that they actually stopped killing off Kenny all the time, and he stops dying. He now dies like an episode or two in an entire season rather than every single episode. So they did learn and stopped doing that. It was fun for a while, but it was starting to get boring, so they stopped it. But saying that, actually, Family Guy has done some of the best episodes. Blue Harvest, Something Dark Side, and what was the third one?
Oh my god, I can't think of it now.
Yeah, but it was their Star Wars trilogy. Oh,
I honestly think that well, I guess it's just me personally because I absolutely love Seth MacFarlane.
Have you seen Robot Chicken?
Yeah, I love it. And I love Seth Green's work there.
Yeah, Seth Green with Robot Chicken. I love that.
Robot Chicken to this day, because it's sketch comedy and the way that they do it is just so hilarious. Because you're watching it and all of a sudden you're like, wait, what? Oh my god, that was actually, so wrong.
That was one of the bits which slightly annoys me about. I don't know who the hell Conway Twitter is or whatever. Conway Twitter. They keep
Conway Twitty.
Yeah, they keep putting him on. I'm sorry, I'm not American. You've got some jokes that are just so American. I cannot penetrate it. I don't get your humour.
Giggity. Sorry.
See, that works.
He's a musician. He's a country western musician. And that's what Conway Twitty is.
Right.
So there, now you know.
Yeah, I mean, I figured out by the fact that he kept singing his songs all the time, and so I managed to get that far, but I don't understand his cultural reference to you. And so, I mean, I kind of know quite a bit about Americans. I've got various American friends. I visit America quite a bit, but...
You have American friends?
Yeah, they all live in Michigan. Well, and where you live. And also, I've got a friend over in Minnesota.
to your Michigan friends, I do so. No, I don't apologize
So,
for the beating that they took
it's
last
because I've
night.
got a lot of friends in Michigan. I think it's something like about 6 or 10 who I kind of keep seeing quite a bit of. So
Oh, okay, well, there
I've
you
got
go.
quite a few over there. But yes, I do actually know and friends with other Americans, but it's just they're mostly in Michigan.
I'm just the one you care about. I understand.
Ooh, just nicely slipped in there.
That's okay. It'll work. There was Men in Black of the series.
That was okay.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah, I watched it. It happened.
It was entertaining. For the most part.
Oh, they had the next one, Extreme Ghostbusters.
Yes, Extreme Ghostbusters. But
King of the Hill, which we never actually mentioned.
Oh my God! I cannot believe we did not talk about King of the Hill, Bobby. If you weren't my son,
God,
I'd
that's
hug
a
you.
really good voice.
Holy Christ! I sell high-quality propane and propane accessories.
Yeah. Oh my God. You okay, you might have to do that just entirely in that voice at one point.
I was not a huge fan of the show, although I do know it well, because being from Texas, I guess it was kind of a requirement to watch it.
Oh,
I'm not sure how long I could keep this up, but I'll do my best.
Should try to keep you doing that for as long as
To
possible.
giggle like a girl.
Yeah, you wait until I'm absolutely hammered, and then I'll just start cracking up for absolutely no reason.
You'll just start saying something out of the middle of it. I'll
Okay.
just throw out, oh my God.
We're nearly at the end of the video, so yeah, this has been us chatting about 90s cartoons. I think we're going to look at something like comic books at some point, and then there was another one which we said
Adventure games.
adventure games. Probably also want to cover board games as well at some point.
Yes, and I think that might be the end of the video.
Yeah.
I totally missed your message about, 4 minutes
yeah,
left.
yeah. That's why I thought I'd comment something in the video. Okay, so I hope everybody's been enjoying listening to this, either the one person on live stream, hello, or people at home. Hope you've
That's all we
enjoyed.
need, though, right?
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. Have a great day, and next week we're going to try to do one a week.
Yep.
Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll just hash out what we're going to do it. So it'll be a surprise as to what our topic will be next week.
Yeah.